శ్రీవాసరంగ పరకాలమణిత్రయాప్త లక్ష్మాత్మరక్షణిత్యుగాగమాంతం ఆచార్యభక్తి పరిపూతమనర్గశీలం గోపాలదేశికమునిం గురుమాశ్రయామః. Swami Kulasekara Perumal Thirunakshatram. At the same day, we are blessed with this wonderful divine satsangam. Kumbe Punarvasau Jatam Kerale Kolapattane Kaustubamsham Dharadisham Kulasekara Ashraye. On the Kulasekara Perumal Taniyan in Sanskrit. பொன்புரையும் வேல் குலசேகரனே மாசி புனர் பூசத் எழில் வஞ்சி களத்தில் தோன்றி அன்புடனே நம்பெருமாள் செம்பொற் கோயில் அனைத்துலகின் பெருவாழ்வும் அடியார் தங்கள் இன்பமிகு பெரும் குழுவும் காண மண்மேல் இருளிரிய என்றெடுத்த இசையில் சொன்ன நன்பொருள் ஷேர் திருமொழி 105 பாட்டும் நன்றாக எனக்கருள் செய் நல்கி நீயே அப்படின்னு சுவாமி தேசிகன் பிரபந்தசாரத்தில் குலசேகர ஆழ்வார் பற்றி தெரிவிக்கிறார். ரொம்ப ஆச்சரியமான அனுபவம். இப்போ கேட்டோம், குலசேகர ஆழ்வார் இஸ் அன் அம்சம் ஆஃப் கௌஸ்துபம், விச் இஸ் அ டிவைன் ஜெம் ஆஃப் பெருமாள் ஸ்ரீமன் நாராயணன். He was born to King Redered at Tiruvanchikalam, Divyadesham. He was born in the year Parabhavam, Masi Masam, Punarvasu Nakshatram. So, Kulasekara Perumal was called Kulasekara Perumal because Sri Rama is called Perumal. Sri Ranganatha, worshipped by Rama, is known as Periya Perumal. And Periya Perumal Koil is called Periya Koil. And Kulasekara Perumal, who was devoted to all of these, devoted to Rama, devoted to Periya Perumal, devoted to Periya Perumal Kovil, Periya Kovil, and hence he was called Kulasekara Perumal. So his work was called Perumal Thirumozhi. He also wrote in Sanskrit Mukundamala, which we all recited so beautifully today. He also composed 2 Sanskrit drama, Subhadra Dhananjayam and Tapati Samvaranam. 2 Sanskrit drama, and he was so much devoted to Bhagavatas. He could even cancel the tour programs or the Rajya Paripalanam if any Bhagavata arrives. So he was so much so that he behaved as if he was Lord Sri Rama, as if he was Lakshmana to perform Kaikaryam. He was Bharata to perform service, eternal service to Perumal, and like Shatrughna, a Bhagavata session, serving the Bhagavatas. His 105 verses are so beautiful that each dasakam, each 10 verses, the decade, so beautifully portrays different facet of Alvar Anubhavam. A brilliant Anubhavam by Kulasekara Perumal in each of these 10 verses. The first 10, Alvar expresses his desire, his yearnings, his enthusiasm to perform Kaikaryam to Srirangam, Ranganathan and the Bhagavatas. He says, Kandinaigal Yendrugalo Kalikkum Nale. When am I going to enjoy the sight of Perumal, Periya Perumal, who reclines on the Adiseshan in Srirangam? When will I go? Kadaham, Mama Kulanadam, Mama Kula Devatam, Mama Kula Danam. So, like Ramanuja mentions in Sri Vaikunta Gadyam, he says, Kannadaigal, when will my eyes be blessed to see him? Vayara Yendrugalo Valtum Nale. When am I going to offer the mouthful praise of Perumal? Adiyavarodu Yendrugalo Anugum Nale. When will I be blessed with the company of Bhagavatas? There was no Zoom call those days. Kaigal Koi Malar Tu Yendrugalo Kuppum Nale. When am I going to shower flowers at his feet and fold my hands, perform Anjali? Malar Chenni Yendrugalo Vanangum Nale. When am I going to bow my head and perform Sashtanga Namaskaram at the feet of the Lord? உள்ளம் மிக என்றுகொலோ உருகும் நாளே. When am I going to melt with my heart with the amount of bhakti in me. நீர்மல்க என்று கொலோ நிற்கும் நாளே, when my eyes are going to shed tears, ஆனந்த பாஷ்பம், on seeing the form of Divyamangala Vigraham of Ranganathan. உள் வினையேன் என்று கொலோ வாழும் நாளே, the worst sinner, மகா பாபி, when am I going to redeem my life? பூதலத்தில் என்று கொலோ புரளும் நாளே, when am I going to roll on the ground sanctified by the Lord's presence? இசைந்து உடனே என்று கொலோ இருக்கும் நாளே, when am I going to reach the proximity of great Bhagavatas of Perumal in Srirangam? That's the first 10. The next 10, he says, he expresses his dedication, devotion, eternal Kainkaryam to Bhagavatas. He declares that those who are overwhelmed by the joy of serving the Bhagavatas of the Adiyars of Perumal are not insane. They are not mad. The others are mad. Pittaram avar pittarallargal, matrayar mutrum pittare. Others are not crazy. You are crazy if you are not serving the Bhagavatas. He says, in the third decade, in the third 10, he says, the act of shunning the worldly pleasures and adhering to the feet of Perumal is the only real duty which one has to have. And he says, பேயரே எனக்கு யாவரும், யானும் ஒரு பேயனே, எவர்க்கும் இது பேசியன், ஆயனே அரங்கா என்று அழைக்கின்றேன், பேயனாய் ஒழிந்தேன் எம் பிரானுக்கே. I may appear crazy for others, but it is they who are crazy. Yes, I am madly in love with Perumal. That's better than you being madly in love with the material desires and running amok again behind the sensual pursuits. In the fourth 10, he expresses his longing, his desire to be associated with Trivenkatam. Like Swami said, I would like to be even an inanimate being, as an inanimate object. Can I be born as a kurugu bird, or as a fish in the pond, or as a person holding the temple on the vessel, or the flower at his feet, or even a tambakam, even a pillar, or a thorn plant, a flowing katar rivulet, as a rock, as a padi, படியாய் கிடந்து உன் பவளவாய் காண்பேன், stepping stone leading to the innermost sannidhi, sanctum sanctorum in the temple of the Lord, where bhaktas would place their feet on me, on all in the sacred Trivenkatam. எம்பெருமான் திருமலையில் ஏதேனும் ஆவேனே, let me be born anything in Trivenkatam. So he may be born, he may be in some form or some shape in Trivenkatam. That is why everything and everyone in Trivenkatam is auspicious. Even the bees, the flowers, the monkeys, the beings, the insects are all the Nitya Suris who have come there in Trivenkatam to be residing there. In the fifth 10, he says, he addresses the Lord of Tiruvittuvakkode. Even if the Lord were to forsake him, even if the Perumal were to forsake him, to leave him, to discard him, he will never ever leave him. Alvar will never ever leave him. Because he has no other refuge. Such a Mahavishwasam he has, like a child that clings on to the feet of the mother, even when she spurns it angrily. Like a pativrata who holds on to her husband steadfast, firmly, even if he is of a despicable character. Like the fish that stays at the risk of the death, even when the water in the tank gets dried up, because he does not have anywhere to go. Like a patient who loves the surgeon, even though he cuts and burns his flesh during the surgery. Like the seagull that perches on the mast of the ship, flies all over in the mid-ocean only to return back to the ship, having no other go. Like the lotus flower that does not blossom the heat of even fire, but blossoms to the sun. Like the fields, the paddy fields that are parched, they look up to the rain-bearing clouds for growing up. like the torrential flowing river that ultimately merge into the ocean and nowhere else to go, like the fortune that favors only the person who is not after it. It will forever resort only to your feet. Ninnaye thaan vendi neel selvam vendadan. So, in the 6th 10, he says, he simulates the despair, the disappointment experienced by the Gopikas when Lord Krishna does not turn up with viraha thapam, languishing in love, with the pangs of separation, of being away from Krishna. Such was their Naika Baba Bhakti. And in the 7th 10, he says one of the most heart-rending portions of Perumal Thirumazhi, he imagines himself in the role of Devaki. Devaki, what did she gain? After giving birth to Krishna, she had no enjoyment of Krishna. Everything Yashoda enjoyed. Yellam and the Devananga Yashodai Petrale. Kulasekara Alvar just gets into dons the role of Devaki and cries in pain. I am your mother only in name. How unfortunate I am. Veride mulai sumandene. Why did I have these breasts not to even feed you? I did not sing any lullaby to you. I did not enjoy the various stages of your growth from babyhood to childhood to boyhood. I lost my pleasure of even breastfeeding you. I am so unfortunate to have missed all of this. What was my loss was Yashoda's gain. And when Gopikas come and ask the little Krishna who was lying down on the cradle, who is your father? With his little finger, he is showing Nandagopan. Yendai Vasudevan Petrilane. My Vasudeva did not get that bhagyam. Alugayum Anji Nokkum Man Nokkum Anikol Shiru Vai Nelipadum Tolugayum Ival Kanda Yashodai Tollai Inbatti Yirdi Kandale. When he was caught white-handed after stealing butter, he had quivering lips, tears rolling down the cheeks, and he folded his hands and begged for forgiveness to Yashoda. What a great bhagyam! Sarveshwaran folding hands to Yashoda. Devanangai, the divine damsel, he pleads to the Lord on behalf of Devaki. Tearfully, if possible, can you reenact all these for my sake? Devaki is asking. It seems Krishna, at the age of 16, after killing Kamsa, came and enacted all roles, all leelas to Devaki, like a downloaded video clip. On the 9th 10, another heart-rending episode. Alvar simulates the grief of Dasharatha after banishing Rama to exile to the forest. As Dasharatha, he visualizes how Sri Rama had unjustly been subjected to such a hard, harsh life of a wandering sannyasi, like an ascetic, when he should be ruling Ayodhya in the royal cozy comforts, in the royal regalia. He curses himself bitterly. Why did I send you to the forest? Oh Rama, I will also leave the Ayodhya which you left. No, I will even quit this world and go to the other world, never to return. If at all I want to be born next birth, I would like to be your father again, he says. In the 10th decade, sage Valmiki elaborately dwells on the story of Rama in Srimad Ramayana. Our Kulasekara Alvar summarizes in beautiful 11 verses the entire Ramayana. Such a beautiful Perumal Thirumazhi. And he also came out with most brilliant Mukundamala. And before we going into the title where he talks about the tale of two pillars, just 2 verses on Mukundamala Adiyan wants to touch upon. Paddena Anjalina Natena Sirasa Gatrai Saro Mudgamaihi Kantena Swaragat Gatena Nayanet Nukirna Pashpampuna Nityam Twacharanaravindha Yugala Dhyana Amrita Swadhina Asmakam Sarasiruhaksha Satatam Sampadhyatam Jivitam. 20th verse of Kulasekara Mukundamala. Hey Sarasiruhaksha, the red lotus-eyed Lord, Baddena Anjalina, the folded hands, Anjali, Saro Modgamaihi, with the goosebumps, the hair standing on its head, with the goosebumps because of bhakti. காத்ரைஹி ஸ்வரகத்கதேன கண்டேன, தழுதழுத்த ஸ்வரத்தோடு கழுத்து, கண்டம், with the choked voice because of the emotions, because of the anubhavam in bhakti. And udgirna bashpambuna, with the tears rolling down the cheeks uncontrollably. Sarvakalam nityam nayanena tvacharanaravinda yugala dhyanamrita swadhina. தேவரீருடைய இரண்டு திருவடி தாமரைகள், the pair of red lotus feet, thinking of it with that, enjoying the anubhavam of looking at your pair of lotus feet. Dhyanam, with that, nityam, eternally, sarvakalam, asmakam, forever, for us, your servants, your adiyongal, your devotees, your bhaktas. Jeevitam, this jeevanam, எக்காலத்திலும் இப்படியே உண்டாக்கத்தக்கது. சததாம் சம்பத்யதாம், at all times this has to happen. He prays to Lord Vishnu for Lord Mukunda for all these things to happen. It is a must recite for each one of us, because at least an iota of this anubhavam we should be able to get. What a brilliant way Kulasekara Perumal mentions. And of course, Shatrichetaika mantram, Sakalam Upanishat Vakya Sampujya mantram, Samsarottara mantram, Samupachitatama Sangha Nirgyana mantram, Sarva Aishwaryaika mantram, Vyasana Bhujaka Santashta Santrana mantram, Chihve Sri Krishna mantram, Japa Japa Satatam Janma Shapalya mantram. Nowhere I have seen such a wonderful way in which he asks to utter, to contemplate, and to keep on uttering the japam of Krishna. Shatru Chetaika mantram. It is a mukhya mantram for destroying the enemies of yours. The enemies are not outside, they are all within us. For us to conquer the evil within us, we have to recite this. Shatru Chetaika mantram. The Krishna mantram will get rid of all our enemies. And the Krishna mantram is praised in the Upanishad. Samsarottara mantram. It crosses the samsaric ocean and it facilitates us to go to the shores and reach the other side of samsaric ocean and reach Sri Vaikuntham. Samupachitatama Sangha Niryana mantram. It gets rid of all our tamo gunams, the mode of ignorance, the mode of darkness. Sarva Aishwaryaika mantram. It grants us, it benefits us with Sakala Aishwaryam. Tiruvarul, Yengum Tiruvarul Petru Inburuvar. Vyasana Bhujaka Santashta Santrana mantram. It will protect us from the bite of the samsaric snake. Because of the samsara snake. Samsaram here does not mean spouse. It means the samsara sagaram. And that we are bitten by that bug. And we need to get rid of that bug and the ills of this samsara sagaram. And hence this will protect. Janma Shapalya mantram. It would get us rid of all the future births. Chihve Sri Krishna mantram. Hey tongue, utter this japam, japa japa satatam. Always do this japam. Again and again, this Sri Krishna mantram. Such a beautiful way he says about the Sri Krishna mantram. Even though he was very fond of Rama, he was captivated by the Sri Krishna, and he recited this 40 verses. Most wonderful verse on Mukunda. Moksham dadati iti Mukundaha. And now come to the title, which is the tale of two pillars. One pillar is mentioned in the first 10 of Perumal Thirumozhi. The second verse, Mayonai Manathune Patri Nindre Yen Vayara Endrugolo Valtum Nale. வாயோர் இறைஞோரு துதங்களார்ந்த வளையுடம்பின் அழல் நாகம் உமிழ்ந்த செந்தி வீயாத மலர்ச்சென்னி விதானமே போல் மென்மேலும் மிகவெங்கும் பரந்த தன் கீழ் காயாம்பூ மலர்பிறங்கள் அன்னமாலை கடியரங்கத் தரவணையில் பள்ளி கொள்ளும் மாயோனை மனத்தூணே பற்றி நின்று என் வாயார என்று கொலோ வாழ்த்தும் நாளே. Here he says, when will I be able to praise you with a mouthful praise? So Adisheshan, who has 1,000 mouths, 1,000 heads, which are always full of praises, stuti, stotram of Ranganathan. He has a white divine body, exhales fire above the Divya Tirumukam Mandalam of Lord Ranganathan, so that no enemies can dare come near Ranganathan. These flames of fire appear as if they are the ornament for the Divya Swarupam of Ranganathan, who is like the Karu Neidal flower, dark blue-hued Perumal. Lord Ranganathan is in his Yoga Nidra. So, Alagiya Manavalan, the divine fragrance of the Tirumeni of Perumal have taken the shape of two huge pillars in the Sannadhi. If you enter into Periya Perumal Sannadhi, there are two large pillars on both sides of yours, right side and the left side. All Bhagavatas, Bhaktas touch those pillars when you enter. And why do we have to touch or hold on to it? The wonderful narration is the divine beauty of Lord Ranganatha is so captivating, so enchanting, so arresting that your knees will buckle and you will fall. You will be off balance when seeing and enjoying Perumal. Hence, one needs to hold on to it so that you maintain balance. It is believed that when Panguni Uttaram, Ranganayaki sits next to Lord Ranganatha, who is standing. She has to sit down in front of Lord Ranganatha because she cannot stand without losing herself, without losing balance by her Lord's captivating Alagir. Yes, he is such an Alagan. Kudalalagar, Vayalagar, Kannalagar, Kuppudil, Yedikamala, Puvalagar. Yennuடைய கடல் வளையைத்தாமும் கடல் வளையாய் ஆக்கினாரே. Andal mentions he is the personification of beauty. And of course, Ichuvai Tavira Yanpo Indira Lokamalum, Achuvai Perinum Venden Arangama Nagarulane. This wonderful, majestic, divine form of Lord Ranganatha is enough for me. I don't want to go to the Sri Vaikuntham and enjoy you there. This is enough. And similarly, he says, Kadal Nira Kadavul Yendai Aravanai Tuirmakantu Udalenakku Urugumalo Yencheyen Ulagattire. The ocean blue-hued Perumal, the way he is reclining. Looking at him, not my heart melts, not my mind melts, my whole body is melting. What will I do, O worldly people? Thondaradipudi Alvar mentions in Thirumalai. Such a beautiful way Alvar, Kulasekara Alvar enjoys. And of course, he also says in the fourth 10, where he mentions Tambakamai Avene, because he says Meenai Pirappene or Kuruhai Pirappene or Pinnitta Shadayanum Piramanum Indiranum Tunnittu Pugalarya Vaikunta Nilvashal Minvatta Chudarari Venkadakon Tan Umilum Ponvattil Peditudane Pugal Periven Avene. He says, I would like to be the servant, the errand boy who holds the golden vessel for you to spit after brushing your teeth in the morning. The king asking for such an errand menial job, because that is the Kaikariam he wants. At least he can look at the red Pavala Chevai of Perumal when he spits. And he says, I may be looking at someone else passing by that time, and I may be fired from my job of holding that vessel. So I don't want that. I just want to be just a champaka tree in the Tirumala hills, to yield flower for offering the lotus feet of the Lord. But that flower people would take, but when there is no flower during a season, they might cut the tree just to make a road to the Tirumala mountain. So I don't want even that. So at least Kambamada Yane Kaluttagathin Melirindi Inbamarum Shelvamum Yivarasum Yan Venden Emperuman Yishan Yedil Venkadamalayel Tambagamai Nirkum Tavamudeya Ravene. I would not like to seek to rule over the kingdom. I would love to be merely the Tambakam, the pillar in the mountain of Trivenkatam, or the thorn plant in the mountain of Trivenkatam. So there we saw the pillar in the Sri Ranganathan Sannidhi, where we have to hold to maintain balance, which is nothing but the personification of his fragrance. Here, Alvar himself wants to be the pillar so that he can just be serving the Bhagavatas, holding and to take rest there. So he says, I don't want to sit in the royal elephant and rule the kingdom. I do not want the birth of being a king. I don't want material wealth. Instead, I would like to be blessed being a plant or a pillar in the mountain of Trivenkatam, the hill of the Lord, the Sarveshwaran. I don't seek to rule over the kingdom. So here Alvar moves from one object to the being to another with the Bhagavad Bhakti, and the Kaikarya Ruchi, like the leaf that is moved by the wind one after the other. So one should reflect Emperuman, our Perumal, our Ishan, our Sarveshwaran being used by the Alvar in this wonderful verse. He is Asmat Swami. Even though he is Akhila Jagat Swami, he is Asmat Swami. He is Sriman Narayana Ishan. Sriman Narayana is of course undoubtedly, unambiguously Ishan, because he is the one. He even in Mantra Rajapata Stotram, our Shivan says, Rudran says, Dasabhota Swata Sarve Hyatmana Paramatmanaha Atohamapite Dashaha Iti Matva Namamyaham. That every being in this universe is your slave, your servant, you are the master. Rudran tells Vishnu. The Paramatma reside in everyone as their indweller, as their inner being, recognizing that I am also your servant, your slave. In this manner, I offer salutations to you. We also offer our salutations to Alvar and to Perumal here in this wonderful opportunity. Dhanyosmi Adiyen. Kavitarkika Simbhaya Kalyana Gunashaline. Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Bhagyam.